Wow, wow, wow. That was fantastic. Liz and Claudine, thank you for sharing that. Everybody, I love reading the comments, so blow up the comments right now for Liz and Claudine. But we're going to change gears a little bit here. So, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Nick Cott. I'm a customer success manager over here at the Mom Project. And today I have the privilege to introduce and chat with Anne Shire from Northern Trust. So Anne is a practice executive currently serving as the Omnium platform lead and head of the associated Omnium change management team based in Chicago with some counterparts in India. Anne has 17 years of experience in the financial services industry, working a variety of client service and strategic development roles. So when Anne is not working hard at the office or at home, Anne is a volunteer working hard with a variety of organizations dedicated to serving underprivileged children. And Anne currently resides in the western suburbs of Chicago with her husband and two children. Anne, that was a lot of introduction for a great person. How's it going today?
Good. Thank you for having me, Nick.
Oh my gosh, it's our pleasure. It's great to have you here. So we'll get right into it today. Anne, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do at Northern Trust.
Sure, Nick. Thanks. And thank you again for having me. I'm really excited to talk today. Um, Basically, at the start of it, I'm in my late 30s. I, like you said, currently live in the western suburbs of Chicago, and I'm married with two elementary school aged kids. I have a 9-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter. Professionally, I love bringing people together to identify business problems and create clarity around how to find the solution and execute that solution. And this is core to what I do at Northern Trust. Here, I lead a team called Omnium Change Management, and I'm the Omnium platform lead. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, we are a team that's about 85 people strong in the US, with roughly the same equivalent, actually a little bit bigger than that, in India. Our team focuses on creating the business strategy and the project plans around that strategy, and then executing them for our various Northern Trust businesses and clients that are on a proprietarily built software called the Omnium platform. This platform supports middle office and fund administration services for hedge funds, private equity funds, asset owners, and large institutional fund managers. My teams include product owners and managers, business analysts, program and project managers, client implementation teams, various technology solutions and automations teams, and we have a financial strategy and operational component too. Our platform itself currently services over 130 global clients and has over 500 billion in assets, and it's poised to grow significantly in the next 18 months. Basically, we work with our clients, our business users, and our IT teams to execute all changes on this Omnium platform, hence our name, Change Management, to meet our evolving client needs and ultimately grow our revenue on it. It's basically a lot of large scale technology project work.
That certainly sounds like a lot of work, but I appreciate that. I think that's a perfect picture of where you are and what you're doing now. And so let's take a look at where you started. And I know we've talked a lot about this, but to share with everybody here, you started your career journey in New York City on Wall Street. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
Awesome. So can you please tell us, Anne, a little bit more about your career journey and how that might have been affecting your family journey as well?
For sure. I began my career at Goldman Sachs in 2006 after I graduated from a small liberal arts school based in Pennsylvania called Susquehanna University. I worked in the prime brokerage business as a relationship manager to hedge fund clients. I did that for 6 years, and those were exciting and challenging years. I learned from some of the best, and I really absorbed what it meant to work hard. I had a front row seat as part of the 2008 financial crisis, and I saw how macro events drive systemic policy changes, to say the least. I worked my way to vice president around the 5-year mark. I met a man named Alex, who is now my husband. Around the time that we were due to get married, he got a job offer that was going to take him to Chicago. And this was the first time that I was faced with a real life decision of, do I stay in my current job and city that I love, or, quote, move for a man? I was raised in a home with fairly traditional man-woman roles. My father worked outside the home, and my mother worked part-time and primarily filled the important homemaker responsibilities. So, whether they meant to or not, they raised me to be pretty feminist. And so I grappled with this decision for about 2 days. I then realized that while my career mattered greatly to me, my personal relationships and potential to start a family of my own were what I needed to feel fulfilled. So I left Goldman and I moved to the Windy City. I supported my brand new husband in his new role, and I spent a few months figuring out what my new life and my new career could potentially look like. Now, looking back, this leap of faith allowed me to see a new career course that I never would have recognized had I stayed on my original track. And honestly, it took me all this time to be able to really see that with that kind of precision. I ended up doing some consulting work at Ernst & Young, and then through that work, Northern Trust became my client. Through my time at Ernst & Young and in my engagement with Northern, I was exposed to a whole host of new ideas, business problems to solve, in other words. And I was stretched in ways professionally that, frankly, made me very uncomfortable. I was asked to be a subject matter expert in areas that I had to quickly learn myself before I could possibly lead, and to project manage large-scale initiatives. Now, I consider myself to be a generally organized person, but project managing at the level that they were asking me was a whole other bar to reach. I spent that first year in Chicago at Ernst & Young on the engagement with Northern, generally ranging from being clammy-palmed and anxious, trying to figure out what the heck I was doing, to feeling a great sense of accomplishment when I helped the team achieve project success. The most amazing part of that experience, Nick, was at the end of that year, Northern approached me and asked if I would like to join them full-time. And even more amazing was that I was 7 months pregnant at that time, and it would have been easy and understandable for Northern to assume that I would want to dial down my career and let my consulting contract, which was due to expire, naturally take place. But instead, Northern saw a business need that they thought I could solve, and they let me make the decision for myself of what I wanted to do. They didn't make any assumptions about what starting a family may mean for me professionally. I said yes, and they supported me in navigating starting full-time, figuring out parental leave, and then returning to work to finding my new balance as a working mother. I will never forget that experience, and I was so grateful to the other professional women and men who made the opportunity possible for me that was the catalyst to enabling the career growth that I've been able to experience these past 10 years and that brought me to where I am today. I strive to give the same opportunities to others wherever I can, and I also never assume someone's preferences or limitations based on where they are in their personal life.
And that is fantastic. I see everybody in the chat, cheering you on and loving that story. And it is, and it's so relatable when you tell me that. And we talked about where you are now, where you've been, and I think that's quite a career pivot from what you do now. So I'm curious if you have any advice for those in the audience that are looking to make a pivot or potentially change their careers.
Sure, Nick. Thank you. First off, I acknowledge that no two career paths are the same, and these experiences are unique to me. But that said, I would say that if you're in a place in your life now where it feels like you are spending more time pushing a rock up a hill than feeling things more naturally flow, it is worth looking outside the box. In my mid-20s, I thought I would end up in investor relations at a hedge fund. If you asked me 15 years ago if I'd be running a large team focused on fintech projects, I never would have guessed that in a million years. But the project nature of the work gave me the flexibility that I needed to also be a wife and mother, while still playing a meaningful role in the financial services industry that I enjoy. Further, and we heard about this in the last session, the hybrid work environment, part home, part in a traditional office that has evolved since the pandemic, has created added opportunities to try something that might not have been possible professionally a few years ago. Again, making it even more worth looking outside the box and having confidence in yourself, and thinking about what could be different from what you've traditionally envisioned for yourself. You know more than you think, and you can learn faster than you'd expect if you take a shot and give it your all. One more key, Nick, that I've been thinking about is the importance of working on your network throughout all points of our careers. I mean, we hear networking talked about a lot, and sometimes that can feel overwhelming. I know personally for me, sometimes I've thought, where do I even start? Well, personally, I think it can be very organic if you keep the idea of the relationship matters, perhaps even more than the work in mind. While of course content matters, people remember how you make them feel more than they may even remember the words that you say. Relationships that I built with my colleagues and friends were vital to my own career journey, and I really try hard not to ever take them for granted. We need each other to grow and succeed. And when something goes awry, as it inevitably always does, a strong support structure is what gets us through it. Seek out and value mentors. There are a few women in particular that I have in my life that have supported me, and I still go to them today when I need advice. And I try to be that person for others whenever I can. And then, Nick, the last thing I'll say on this topic is that balance is key. And while my balance certainly doesn't look like your balance or anyone else's balance in particular, I really do think that finding your own authentic balance that enables you to put energy into work and into personal endeavors, whether that's family, friends, or other activities, is really key to avoiding burnout and renewing that energy for a lasting, fulfilling life.
Awesome. And that's fantastic advice. I mean, a lot stands out to me, about the mentorship and especially about finding that balance. 'Cause if you don't have that balance, you can't be yourself at home. You can't be yourself in the workplace. And really, what you want to make sure is that you have that. So that is fantastic. So let's get a little advice from you on how to maintain that balance. Here's the last question for you, Anne. How do you maintain a balance at home and at work?
Yeah, sometimes it's easier said than done. I'll admit it. But I am honestly pretty structured, and that's my saving grace. Frankly, I live by my calendar and I organize my schedule to maximize my time, both during my paid working hours and when I'm doing the work of raising my kids and being a wife. Also, Nick, I don't pretend to be able to do it alone. I don't care to ever be thought of as a superhero. I don't have any extended family nearby, so what's worked for my own family and me was to hire an au pair, someone that lives with us and supports our childcare needs and also offers a wonderful cultural exchange. We've had au pairs with us from South Africa, and we have a young woman with us from Brazil currently. And it's been a wonderful addition to our family and also helps me have the balance to do work and be a good mother when I'm not working. I use a cleaning service and I divide general household duties with my husband. And while it's never a perfect 50-50 division of labor, it ebbs and flows between us. We work as a team and we back each other up. Some days, of course, it still gets crazy and life throws curveballs. On those days, I try to take a deep breath, have a glass of wine if it's needed, and then try to give myself a little bit of grace and try again tomorrow. And I also look for the humor in everyday circumstances because that can help too. We can't be too serious because what fun is there in that after all?
And I'm with you 100%. And I know from working with you and the team that you're always looking for the humor, but you're getting the job done too. And I want to say thank you, and very much appreciate you joining all of us today. Excited to read the comments as we're going through here. But any last words, anything else, or a goodbye before we turn it over to Tara and Jeanette?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you too, Nick, and the partnership that we have built between Northern and the Mom Project holistically. It's been wonderful to see us grow, and I'm so excited to continue to find new talent as we grow our teams down the line. Thanks so much again for having me today.
Thank you. And now I'm going to turn it over now to Tara and Jeanette. Excited to see y'all on here. Bye, everybody.